Hi guys, welcome back from the break and welcome to this session with an evening with Allan Hinton. My name is Richard Curtis, I work for Adobe here in the UK and I've been asked by Microsoft to come today to talk to you a little bit about Lightroom and how to use Lightroom to make your photographs look amazing. So I'm actually inside Lightroom right here actually, so Lightroom is a great way to present in this type of way. So what we have here is some images that I shot in Mongolia late last year at a Nardam festival in the middle of nowhere on the west coast of Mongolia on the Kazakh side. So first of all, what I'm going to do is just show you quickly how to look at your images and work out which pictures that you might want to work on in Lightroom, but also in Photoshop as well. And we're going to try and do all of this in 10 minutes. So the first thing I'm going to do, which is a challenge, I know, but that's okay. The first thing I'm going to do is go into full screen mode by pressing the F key. It's a great way to review your content. So you can see here, this is a Nardam, and this is actually where they have two horses, and the riders will fight over a goat carcass. So it's quite an interesting festival. There is no health and safety, so it's really quite rapid. It's quite fun. So here's an image. Now, you know, when you look at these pictures, I typically rank them in a number system of 1, 2, 3. You can have 5, but I'm not very good, so I only go to 3, and I use 4 and 5 for my future progression. So to rank them, if I like an image, I can use those number keys on the keyboard. So I can press number 1, 2, 3. So this one is pretty good. I quite like the intensity of this chap on the horse, ready for this kind of horse activity. So with number 3, if I press that, you will see at the bottom the 3 stars come up. That shows me a way of ranking them. If I use the arrow key, I can then go to the next picture. Now what you're seeing here is a sequence of events as this horse fight, if you like, or this fight between these two guys really builds up. So some of them are good and some of them aren't so good. And what I want to get to is the image that I really want to work on. So there's a small section of about 10. So I'm going to go through these very quickly. I'm going to use the number 2 key because it's okay, but it's not a great photograph, so I'm going to wait. Because I think there's a better one in this series. So I'll do that very quickly and move to the next picture. And you can see a little bit more activity there where this rider is going down to reach the goat carcass from the skin. I mean, this is moving really, really quickly. So I like that one, so I'm going to choose a 3 and move to the next picture. Okay, a bit more activity. I'll give it a 2 because I think there's a better one coming up. And again, a bit more activity. These riders are getting really daring now because they really want to win this fight. But I think there's a better one coming, so I'm using number 2. Okay, so we get a bit more. Number 2, because I think there's still a better one coming. We go to the next picture. Move to the next picture using the arrow keys. Now this is my favourite picture pretty much of all time actually. It's pretty neat. So I'm going to give that number 3, which is pretty good. Now I love it because it's what happens. It's pretty dynamic, right? I mean, if you look at it really closely, as I'll go into a second, you know, they're hanging into their stirrups. They're just like really going crazy. And this is moving at a rate of knots. So what I can do is inside Lightroom, I'm going to move into single view mode, and then there I can actually zoom in, and you can see if I just click on the screen, I can see that. And now the great thing about the Surface is you've got a really wonderful screen to see all these pixels, and it's beautiful. Now you may be saying, why are they in black and white? So very much similar to Allan, and as he's shooting, he's probably got a creative restriction that he likes to employ. And one of my creative restrictions is I like to shoot on a black and white digital camera. So I throw all the colours away on the chip, which gives me lots of detail. So you can see here that there's lots of detail in here as well. You can see the expression on this rider's face. I can zoom in, I can go 2 to 1 and zoom right in there, and you'll see that coming through. So lots of kind of really passion there to get this out. So the first thing to do is go into the development module. And this is where, as Allan showed you earlier, where we do our magic. Now I'm going to show you a couple of things in here before we go into Photoshop to fix an error. I'm going to ask the audience in a few minutes what's wrong with this picture, bar Allan, because he knows what he's doing. So I'm just going to launch the audience in a few minutes. Not say you don't, but I'm just going to give you a little test. So have a think about that in a minute of what's wrong with this picture, and we'll go and fix it. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn on highlights and shadow mode. So that's the J key. And this will turn these little indicators up here. This will show me where I'm clipping in the scene, where I'm going to white and black, which is great because it gives me lots of contrast when I work with this information. You can see here this picture's quite good, but it's quite flat. So I've got a lot of detail in the shadows or the highlights. So as Alan showed you earlier, we've got the exposure slider to make things brighter or less bright, and we can move them. And in real time, we'll see that information happening on the screen. And we can watch the histogram move as we move those around. The highlights allows us to pick up and recover highlight information in the sky, for example. So we move to the left, and we'll see the sky come up, which is a great way to picture that out. So don't worry about not capturing the camera on the back of the screen. Look at the histogram, get that data out, and you'll see that the histogram is nice and stretched out now, so we're bringing out all that lovely detail. In the shadows, we move that to the right-hand side, and this will bring out all the shadow area, which means that I've got a lot more information to work with, and the histogram's nice and full. Now, to really make an impact on this picture, I'm going to use the whites and the blacks slider. Now, the whites and the blacks will go as far as I can to clip to white, which is going to give me that brightness. So if I move to white, you'll see if I go too far, it'll go red, and that means I've clipped to white. We don't want that. We want to go back a little bit, so we do that. And then in the blacks, we move blacks to the left, and you see as I do that, I start to fill in the shadow areas and clip to black. I don't mind clipping to black. It adds some great contrast and lots of dynamism in the image. The thing you can do here is also go to clarity and push the clarity up, and that boosts mid-tone contrast. That gives you an image, which is pretty good. So just with a few sliders, as Alan showed you earlier, you get a really nice base image to work from. Now, here's the question. What's wrong with that picture? Anybody?
Not straight.
Great, it's not straight. So, now the challenge here is that this thing's running really, really quickly. You haven't got a lot of time to shoot, so I'm shooting with a 90mm lens, fairly rapid, and I like to shoot quite tight, but in this case, it's a bit too tight. So you'll see what happens in a second. So I'm going to open that in Photoshop now to use some magic inside Photoshop. I'm going to edit in Adobe Photoshop. So right-click, edit in Adobe Photoshop, and Lightroom will transfer that very quickly over to Photoshop. Now, you can see here that we have something enabled called the crop tool. Now, if I use the crop tool's also got a level adjustment inside it, and I can very quickly level this out. Now, when I do that, what happens? I'm going to clip off the tail and the nose, and for me, I can't use it because I want the nose and I want the tail. So we've got a new feature that came out a few weeks ago called Content Aware. And what this will do is it will look at the edges, expand the canvas, and Photoshop's going to recreate the image for me. So I'm going to take off also the delete crop pixels because I want to keep any image information in the background. Once I've done that, I'm going to press the go button. Now watch what happens when I press the go button, and watch the tail and watch the nose. Photoshop will go away and automatically create new pixels in the areas where there were no pixels before and complete my image for me. Now it's been a lot of work, so it has to go and create that information for me, but you can see there very quickly I fixed my image. Okay? So the thing you might want to do next when you're working in Photoshop is fix a few blemishes. I'm just going to make a new layer, and this layer is going to be a magic layer to kind of store this information for me. So I'm going to use the patch tool in a mode called Content Aware, and this will allow me to go and select areas of the image that I want to replace. Now I don't like things in the foreground. I like things to be nice and clean, but I do like his hat because his hat shows that something's been happening, and it's quite good. So what I'm going to do now is just save that. So Control S, save that back. When I save that back into Lightroom, you can see that Lightroom automatically shows me the image, and you can see that there's the final image. If I go back into full screen mode very quickly, you can see there that there's the full screen image. It's just doing a render, so that'll take a couple of seconds, so just excuse me for that. Never mind, I can do it a different way. I can go into lights out mode, and you can see that in a different way. So there you go. In a couple of steps, you've gone from something that was mediocre to something amazing, and just by using the power of Photoshop to be able to go in and change something and recreate pixels, you've actually got a very, very usable image that I would absolutely print and put onto a website somewhere. So that hopefully has got you started with Lightroom and doing some amazing things with Lightroom. What I'd like to do now is to invite Alan up to the stage, and if you do have any questions, both from the audience and also from Facebook Live, let us know, because we'll be more than happy to answer those, be it about photography or be it about Lightroom or Photoshop or whatever it may be. we can absolutely answer those for you, not a problem. Okay, so Alan, would you like to come on the stage? So let me stand up as well. Yeah, so obviously, you know. Alan's got a box down here, by the way. So, any questions from the audience? Any questions from the live stream? Anything like that? You must have some. Yes?
You talked about mobile photography a lot. Do you think mobile editing, like editing the photographs on your mobile, will take over editing on Photoshop, or do you think there's always going to be a fine balance between the two?
Should we do a two-part?
Yeah.
You do your view and I can do my view.
I know you can maybe talk about the apps that Adobe have.
Right.
I think at the moment, apps on phones can do really great things. Lots of like the universal changes actually you can do on mobile phones, but at the moment I think this software can just do some amazing things really quickly. So. Who knows where the future's going, but at the moment, it's for me, if I've taken a photo with a proper camera, I'll edit with this software, and I'm still taking photos with my mobile phone, and with mobile phone photos, I'll use apps. But what do you think?
Yeah, so, you know, I'm the same as Alan. I love shooting out in the field and shooting my camera and shooting raw in the camera, and I'll always take it back to my Surface and edit my photographs. However, 2 weeks ago, Adobe released something amazing with something called Lightroom Mobile. And Lightroom Mobile is an app that exists on the App Store, on the Google Play Store. And for the first time ever, we're able now to ingest raw files directly into the phone and editing non-destructively on your phone. Okay, and then you can transmit them straight into Lightroom. So the power of Lightroom is now on the mobile phone using Lightroom Mobile. So it means you can edit. And a lot of the tools, not all the tools, but a lot of the tools that I've been showing you now, all these tools I've shown you now, are available on the phone. And they work exactly the same way as Lightroom on the desktop. So absolutely, I think the mobile is a great way for photographers to really expand their portfolio and do more things, but also on the fly, in the field, shooting raw, be able to post to Instagram and to that social feed as well. So
I think also for me, I'm quite new to photography and editing on this kind of software, so I want to challenge myself and get better, and I've got so much to learn on Lightroom and Photoshop. So I'm doing a lot of editing now on the computer, on the Surface, and using this software just so I can get better, and always watching tutorials that are out there. And yeah, so for me, I'm actively using this software to get better, because now I'm getting photography jobs, proper professional photography jobs. I need to be able to understand this software, so I kind of have to be using it to pushing myself and to grow. But maybe in the future, we'll go on the mobile. And I'm a travel photographer as well, so I'm always on the move. So yeah, it'd be great if there was some software. I'll have to try this. We'll
have a chat offline, and we'll have a conversation. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. How about the Facebook Live? Is there any questions on Facebook, or do we have more questions from the audience? Yep. So.
Hi. So this is a question for actually both of you. How does the Surface Book compare to previous devices that you use for photography or editing?
Well, I mean, I think I did mention earlier initially the first thing you actually notice the first time you ever open it is just the resolution, and the screen just looks really shiny. So it kind of feels like perfect for photography and photography editing. That's the first thing I noticed when using this, and we'll continue to use it. That's a big feature. And because I'm always on the go as well, it's handy that you can take off it and turn it into tablet mode. Often I'm editing on the go and I'm on a plane or something, and having it in the normal position, laptop position, is quite uncomfortable. So to be able to have it out like a tablet, but still have it at that size so you can really see your image is really beneficial. And also there's the pen which I'm using, which is really great to do finer details. And on my presentation, they saw lots of like handwritten notes and doodles and things, and that was with the pencil, which I couldn't have done on another device.
I mean, for me, I'm very similar to Alan. I love travel photography and do travel photography, as you can tell. I think one of the great things about the Surface is the screen, which Alan's already mentioned. It's awesome. It's so beautiful. It's so bright, and it's really glossy. It's lovely. And you've got the pen. And Lightroom has also got something called a tablet mode. So actually, you can turn Lightroom into a mode which is the same as a mobile phone, which gets the clutter away, allows you to edit your pictures. I think also as well with the Surface Book, you know, what you have is 2 batteries. So you've got a battery in the screen and a battery in the base. And being a travel photographer, and I'm sure you can tell when you're in the back of a van and you're bumping up and down a road, you know, those 2 batteries help you extend your life. You can edit. So I think it's a great travel companion. It's a great working companion, and you can work in different ways and present off it, edit, work, and do all your emails as well. So I think as one device, I think it really suits lots of different kind of things when you're doing that type of work.
I think as well the design aesthetic it does actually look very nice, and you know there's certain brands I think people go for because the way it looks and stuff, and I think this is a really beautiful design, which a lot of photographers actually, it sounds quite pretentious, it probably is quite important to them that the product looks good as well.
Yeah. Yes.
My question is more about like your personal style. So how do you choose your camera? How did you choose that first camera? Was it like a recommendation, or because obviously Adobe makes it easier to edit when you take a photo, but how did you think, I want to buy that camera over that camera? Just as if someone wants to get into what you're doing.
I think the thing to do is, depends what you're doing. If you're traveling a lot, you might want something light. It's quite important because otherwise you're going to get backache. And if you're traveling out with a camera every day like you in Matera, I'm sure that it was quite hard work in that sun. The sun's really hot. So having something light is really nice, and the resolution is lovely of these cameras nowadays. And the lenses are super. So I think, you know, anybody who's trying it is, for me, I would always go into a store and try some in my hand and make sure that it feels right in my hand. That's the main, because you're going to be using it for a lot. And on a travel shoot, you're going to be out every day shooting. It becomes, you know, if it doesn't fit your hand properly or the weight's wrong, it's not going to work for you. So I would go out and try something, and if you like it, cameras today are very, very similar. So go out and try it and see what you like.
I think that's a really good point. And before I went travelling, I actually used a different camera when I was travelling for a year than the one I use now, because it can be a bit heavier now and a bit more professional, and I've got lots of different lenses. But when I was travelling for a year, I didn't want to be carrying heavy stuff, so that was the weight was an important thing, and battery life and things like that. So I mean, I did a lot of research online, but actually talking to other photographers helped me the most. Actually, just not being afraid, just to ask kind of people what they use and ask for their recommendations. And also, I didn't go into a shop to try. But I was torn between 2 cameras and just found 2 friends that had them. I mean, lucky enough, I guess I had photographer friends that had these cameras, and just went out for a few hours with each, and I just knew like instantaneously when I'd got my hands on the one that I liked, that was the one. It just felt right. Sometimes it is just a case of just feels right with your size of hands and the weight and things like that.
I mean, the other side of it is the photography community, as Alan said, is very vocal. So if you have an issue, or you know, if you're still deciding which one to buy, if you post a comment on a forum, someone will get back to you very quickly and give you their opinion.
Adobe give advice on that kind of thing?
We're more probably on, so Adobe's more around having a platform that can take and ingest any kind of content from any camera. So, you know, personally I shoot digital, I also shoot film. So I actually use Lightroom for bringing in my film images and also my digital images. So we can kind of bring any images into Lightroom, so we're kind of more balanced across the industry. But obviously everyone has their own preference about what sort of cameras they use, obviously.
Is there anything that you're looking for at the moment that makes a great photo? So you said before that you're kind of interested in symmetry and lines. Is there anything you're kind of focusing on now?
Gosh, that's a good question. What am I looking for now in photos? Actually, it's funny, the first few years of Instagram, I always tried to get things that were symmetrical and head-on, because that's what worked in the square. I'm now pushing myself to do different angles. Like I'm quite bored of like shots that are just straight down or straight ahead. So just thinking of just trying different angles on photography and not just doing the head-on kind of thing. I think just understanding light more as well, how the light at dusk and dawn can really impact the shot. So I'll make the effort to get up very early, or to go out shooting kind of in the evening. Yes.
I think, you know, if you look at Alan's images, and one thing I learned on this trip, the Mongolia trip that I went on, is you'll notice that there's a human element to the image, and the human element is something that's lovely. And if you look back in time, and look back at all the photographers, you will notice that there's always, in the most interesting pictures, there's always going to be a person or an animal or something there. And that gives a lot of dimension. And one of the things that I learned from this trip from another photographer was about elements. And elements, and you'll see it in Alan's work, the elements really make a picture. So if you look back at Alan's work of the arch, which I love, by the way, it's awesome. And what makes it is that person in the frame. But if everything else wasn't there, like the arch, the light, the door, the paving slabs, the cobbles, and the shadows, it wouldn't be as impactful. Right? So I think when you're out taking pictures, for me, it's always trying to find the elements. And if the elements aren't there, you could always put an element in. Okay, so if you need sometimes some smoke and you're working with a portrait, to make it more interesting, you could burn some charcoal and that will give a lovely element, and it's something else to immerse the viewer in your image. So, you know, I think it's great. But the challenge, of course, is when you're doing that and looking for elements, and especially with images that Alan takes and some of those images, that the timing has to be perfect. And that's the decisive moment that a photographer's always trying to find, which is the perfect moment, for the perfect picture for that perfect moment with whatever camera you have, be it a mobile phone or an SLR or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's all the time we have. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining this event. I think it's been super. And I'd like to thank Alan for your stories and your work. And it's really, I think, really inspiring to actually to quit your job and go do something amazing and create this revolution, which is pretty awesome. So thank you for your time today.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching.